ever walked into your closet to get dressed and thought, I have nothing to wear? Like physically you do. Like my closet is full, right? But there's times that like what you wear, it's because you want to, it's something you feel like wearing. Like whether it's the different material or a different color or a different style, but you have to feel the outfit, right? Am I alone in this? Where it's sometimes it's, it just, you just go in there and know your closet is full. I don't know what to wear. I have nothing to wear. And it's not that you don't have options, but nothing quite fits. Nothing fits your mood. Nothing this season. Hello, perimenopause, when all of a sudden seasons are like clothes don't fit right. And I know how it is to be in a season where you've achieved success, where you've achieved and you're going along, you're following the plan, you're following the journey, you're one thing after another, and you head and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're doing what you wanted to do. You're on that path. And then all of a sudden, it doesn't quite fit anymore. Something happens and it shifts your perspective. Let's face it, we're in a season where we're dropping off kids at college, right? I cannot believe my son is 2 weeks from being a senior now. And it hits you different. And all of a sudden, things change. They don't need you as much. They're driving, so you don't spend as much car time with them, right? And so the season changes, and all of a sudden, the things that mattered to you before don't matter the same way now. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. My name is Tami, and I am so thankful that you're here at the Full Weight of Joy podcast. I love being here every week with you. And this podcast in particular is a little special for me because this is something that I have been crafting, this purpose, the idea of a purpose archetype, this type of, the more we understand what stops us and what limits us, and the more we understand why we do what we do, the more power we have to change it. So the purpose archetype, what I'm going to talk about today, is a reflection of how you are currently relating to your purpose, how you think, feel, act, and when you know you're meant for more, and you're meant for something different, but you don't quite know how to get there. And so through these years of studying business, strategy, the psychology, coaching, and neuro-coaching, are the science behind our thoughts and what's keeping us stuck, I've discovered there's 4 archetypes. These 4 types of being that really are like everyone fits into one of these 4. You may have elements of multiple. I'm not going to lie. There are times in my life that I can fit in every one of them. And yet one of them always seems a little stronger. And so it's not a personality type. It's a seasonal snapshot. Because again, depending on the season, depending on what is going on in your life, there may be something that looks different. And so as you're on this journey to impact, as you're on this journey to living your purpose and not just discovering it, not just thinking, oh, I figured out what it is, it helps you to see what's been holding you back. It helps you clarify and then start making a pivot towards your next step, like the next step that you need to take. You don't have to worry about 10 steps away. So that's what I love about these archetypes. And so I was like, you know what? Let me share them with you because you may already relate to one. And then I also have a quiz that if you want to go and you want to know what your archetype is, your primary archetype in this season is, you could take this quiz and it will tell you, and then it will give you some next steps. And so it will help you align with your purpose because when we understand what's stopping us, then we can be empowered to make the changes. And so I want to talk first about why is it important to know your archetype? And so why is it important for us to not just be like, yeah, things are holding me back. One day it will be better. One day I'll overcome it. Because friend, time is not on our side. And I say that because I know that when we do not understand, when we don't embrace time, when we don't decide that we're going to control time and we just wait for one day and I'll do it later, there is no time on the calendar that says later. It never comes. It's like we're always wishing for tomorrow. It's only a day away, right? Tomorrow, if we don't take action, and if we don't get clarity, it's always going to be tomorrow. And then one day, like we'll be tomorrowed out. Not to go dark here, but let's face it, like we have the energy, we have the flexibility, we have the mobility, we have our health, and even if you are struggling with some things, like don't count yourself out, because science has proven, and the Bible talks about it too. When we have a purpose, when we have a mission, when we have something we can work towards, we want to work towards, our life has meaning. And we can go through trials easier, no matter how tough they are. If we have a focus, if we have meaning behind what we're doing, we're able to get through anything. And Viktor Frankl, I know I've talked about him on the podcast before, but he's a philosopher, psychologist, but he is definitely a philosopher in my mind as well. But he went through the Holocaust, and he wrote the book A Man's Search for Meaning, and he talks about the difference between him and a lot of people. And he survived through the Holocaust and through he survived the camps because of his search for meaning, found meaning every day. And so that's what I want to share with you today. That's what I want to talk about, is let's figure out what's stopping you so we can change that. We can pivot, we can see the truth, and then we can start taking actions right away. And so first of all, I just wanted to give you 5 reasons why it's important that we understand what's stopping us, that we understand our purpose archetype, and we understand, because what does this do for us? And so the first one, it names what we're feeling, but we couldn't articulate. So many times, because we have so many thoughts, and they shift, change, and like words. And a lot of times or we'll have multiple, and we don't know what's stopping us the most. We don't know what that first, when you are wearing a sweater, you have a snag, and then you pull one, and all of a sudden everything starts rattling. We don't know what that one pull is that starts to unravel all of the lies that we've been believing that's been holding us back. And so it also exposes the hidden narrative keeping us playing small. We were not called to play small. And it's really interesting that this is what I'm talking about, because I played small for so long. Even when I started my business, I would do things that I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm so out of my comfort zone. And yet God got a hold of my heart and said, if I wanted you to stay here, this would have been your dream. But I gave you a bigger dream. And when I realized what was holding me back, then I could go all in, because I could see, and God showed me where the lies, the limiting beliefs were. Then he showed me what's true and what he says about me versus what my brain is feeding me. And so when you see your purpose archetype, it exposes the hidden narrative. And once what is brought to light loses its power. So the next is it also gives you a roadmap versus just random advice. Everyone, every friend, every grandma, every person can give you advice. Do you want just some random advice, or do you want a roadmap that says, okay, here are the beliefs that you have. Here is the way to overcome them. Here are your next steps. You're curated, you're personalized, your specific next steps that overcome the limiting beliefs that you are experiencing, the ones that are lies in your life. And so this roadmap is a whole lot easier to navigate than just giving a bunch of directions or a bunch of rabbit trails that lead nowhere. And then this is one of my favorite things, is it connects the dots between the past and your purpose, because there's hidden highlights all over. And if we don't step back and we don't start looking at what has God been highlighting, what limiting beliefs have we been telling ourselves, and sometimes it is voices from other people that they don't realize how their words stick with us. And then it connects the dots from the past to your purpose. And when we do that, we can start seeing a way to the present and then to the future. And then our purpose becomes we get to become part of our purpose, become our purpose, instead of it just being something that we're grasping for or that we're always trying to discover. And then the last one, it allows you to have grace and clarity versus shame and confusion. when we don't know what our thoughts are serving us, when we don't know, then we can be confused. We can also have, it's like that foggy mirror where we know we're there. We know it's right there, but we cannot see it. So this purpose archetype, it's like taking a hairdryer quickly to the foggy mirror so that way it starts to open up and you start to see your picture clearly. You start to see your present. You can see your future clearly because it's been there all along. There's just been like mist and heat and like things blocking it. And so that's what I wanted to share with you today. Let's talk about these archetypes. Before I dive into them, first I wanted to tell you how you can go and take this quiz for yourself. So TamiImlayCoaching.com/quiz. That's it. It's 7 questions. It takes 2 or 3 minutes. You answer the most. That's it. That's it. There is no right. There's no wrong. It's the most right for you in this season. And when you do that, you are going to get one of these archetypes that is your primary. And I say primary because there may be several that you be like, oh, that resonates. We need to know the primary because the other ones are just noise. The other ones are not as deeply rooted in your limiting beliefs as the primary one. And I wanted to give you that overview. I wanted to send you, go and take the quiz and find out what your archetype is. And I'd love to know. DM me on LinkedIn or on Instagram and say, hey, I'm a unfulfilled achiever because I'm developing these like a roadmap for each of them. Like you'll get some next steps, but that's one of the things that I'm doing as I'm talking with people and I'm looking at what they need. I'm developing a deeper and more, I don't say concise, like a roadmap for each of these based on the steps that we take to help you overcome those limiting beliefs. And so there's 4 archetypes, 4 of them. And I'll tell you what they are. And then I'm going to go into each one briefly because you'll know what you are. Like you'll get an email for it. So the first one's the unfulfilled achiever. The second one's the hidden helper. The third is the misaligned visionary. And the fourth is the stuck strategist. And so you'd fall into one of these as a primary. And then, like I said, any given day, there's several of these where I'm like, oh, that kind of sounds like me. However, I know that the one of them in this season, and right now it's the hidden helper. It started off as the unfulfilled achiever and those thoughts. And I worked on those beliefs. And now it's okay, this hidden helper, there's a few elements. I'm like, now I have some beliefs there that are deeply rooted that I didn't realize. And so now I'm working through those. But understanding you have a way to go. And it's not like you're trying to quote unquote, fix everything. You get to connect the dots and you get to see how it shows up in your life and how it's stopping you. Okay, so let's go into these 4. And so the first one is the unfulfilled achiever. So this one is similar like it sounds. And so you've built success. You are, by the world standards, you are successful on the outside. And it still feels empty. Or it may be empty now. All of a sudden, like I said, something shifts in you. And now when I look at time a little bit different because of my kids are going to be out of the house now in the next couple of years. Like all of a sudden, what seemed like, wow, 3 years from now is so long. And now it's, oh my goodness, my kids will be out of the house. I will be an empty nester in 3 years. So in this season, it's shifted. And so you build success by the world standards, but it still feels empty. And you're driven, you're capable, and you're often praised for the things that you do. So your doing has become part of your identity. But you're also quietly wondering, is this it? And so you've outgrown your version of success and you crave a deeper alignment, crave that deeper significance. And so you often hear you need to shift from clarity and you need to shift from performing to becoming. So that's my unfulfilled achievers. The hidden helpers is constantly supports others but struggles making a space for theirself. So you're always looking at ways to help others. And it means something to you that you're put like Enneagram 2s out here, but not just Enneagram 2s. This could be any number because you know that the gifts that God's given you. And so you use them constantly to help others. but then you don't also step back to see yourself. And so you find identity in serving, but you're starting to feel a little bit resentful. And then stuck where you feel unseen. And so by being unseen, then all of a sudden, serving looks different to you, and not in a good way. And so you feel guilty when you start pursuing something that God's put on your heart, the assignment, the dream, the God dream and the God possible goals that He's put on your heart. You put them on the back burner because we feel guilty because your identity is wrapped in serving others, whether it aligns with who He's called you to be or not. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. And so this one, you need some permission to prioritize your purpose without apology. Not everyone will understand what you're doing, but when you are making that impact, that's when they'll be like, oh, I see what you did there. But we need that permission to prioritize your own purpose, which means that disappointing others, which means that saying no when you know you could say yes, but it's not your best yes. That's the hidden helper. The next is the misaligned visionary. This one is some of my favorite people are misaligned visionaries, and because they always overflowing with ideas and then paralyzed when it comes to action. They see the outcomes that's possible, but then they can't get that first step, that first building the business or starting. They don't know where to begin. They don't know where to begin. And a lot of times they're visionaries and they're purpose driven, but they feel fragmented. They're parts of them are all over and they're overwhelmed. And it's because they have such a big vision that sometimes it's hard to see to get some. This is when tunnel vision actually helps you. You want to stop going wide and go deep. And so a jump between idea without clarity. So haven't figured out the clarity piece of their vision, and there's very little follow through. And you struggle with that. So you need a grounded strategy. This is where the vision may not be the problem, but the strategy behind it is your next step. And you need that identity clarity to set you on fire, to focus that slow burn, to focus and go in one direction, knowing that the other directions they will all take care of themselves, or they will become part of this just one direction. And so those misaligned visionaries, it's not from the lack of vision, it's the lack of focus and the ability to start. There's so many things I want to do. I'll start later because I don't know what the best start is. And then finally, we have the stuck strategist. So this is smart, thoughtful, and intentional individuals, but they're trapped in overthinking. When I say that I was the hidden helper, this is the one that I actually meant. I get into this point where I am I have so many ideas, but I get paralyzed because there's so many different directions I could go. And it's different than the visionary because the idea is you don't know where to start, but the stuck strategist has a strategy, but actually the vision at the end of it is the hard one to see. How does it all come together? I know where to start. I know what to do, but there's so many things. So I'm paralyzed from overthinking and obsessed with the right next move versus the next move, the next step. And it's they're fearful that you're going to choose wrong. And so it feels disconnected. You may feel disconnected from the intuition or God's direction. You may feel I don't hear His voice in this season. And this is just because you've got that stuck strategy. That's a lot harder to say. Stuck strategy that it's got to shift, and you've got to open up that vision side of it, and it's still that becoming. And you need to build some trust, some boldness, and a guide, have a map to activate your aligned action. So it's not just, okay, here's the roadmap helps you pick one direction and go in it. And all four of these are, you're capable beings. You're capable women. Okay. So none of these are bad to have. None of these are oh man, I'm an unfulfilled achiever. I'll never achieve anything. No, it's because you are already awesome. Because you are, that you have such a strong heart towards service, that you fall into these beliefs, that you fall into this because you care much. So friend, let's shift that carry into action. Let's push away the limiting beliefs, because sometimes that's what the too much caring does, is it's like, what if? I can't do this. I got to get it right. I need to know the right step. I need to know who I'm helping. I need to know what the end game is before I start. Hello, that's one of my things is I'd like to know how it's all going to end. And that's not your responsibility. That's not I haven't offered you the ending. I've given you little glimpses of things along the way, and I've asked you to go. And I know that when I daily release that to him, then I can take the action. And that's what this is about, is what do we need to do to get you into action? And for each of these, it's a very specific next step. And it may not be what you think, but it's easy. And when you do, and again, you take this quiz, I will give you your next step. I'll give you that to make it easier for you so you can go forward and you can go forward and conquer. You can go and start to make the impact that you were called to make. Because friend, if we wait, how many times do we see other people doing something and be like, that should be me? I don't want you to have that kind of regret. I don't want you to sit on the sidelines and watch someone else live their dream or your dream. God's put an assignment on your heart that's only for you. It may look like someone else's, but it's not the same, because that other person doesn't have the same experiences, the same skills, the same gifts, talents, motivations, and strengths that you do. So it's so important you discover what your archetype is and you take the next step to get out of that, to get away from those limiting beliefs, and you step into who you're truly called to be. So friend, TamiImlayCoaching.com/quiz. Go take your quiz and then DM me what you got and how it aligns with you. I would love to know. So far, everyone who's taken it was like, this is me. And then we've able to craft the next step for them. So with that, friend, go and take the quiz. I hope you enjoy it. I had fun crafting it. I'm telling you, this has been from years. It is crazy now that I can say that I have been doing this for over a decade. And really, when I add in my military time and I add all of the different things, it is more. It's like we're looking at 2 decades now, and it just baffles me that I'm that old that I can say that I've been doing it for over 2 decades. All right, with that, friend, choose joy, and joy will choose you. All right, bye for now.